Hello, and welcome to the United MEC Leading Edge podcast, COVID-19 coverage. I'm Captain James Belton. Today, we will be discussing the Central Air Safety Committee Chairman Captain Bob Sisk's latest report. The news media's relentless COVID reporting and United's inability to provide very much information on our future are equally anxiety-producing. In both cases, it is about true inability to predict how bad this is going to be and for how long. In other words, nobody knows. These two broad subjects are the focus of legitimate concern for all of us, but this is also causing significant distraction. We are starting to have concerns with our operation related to this environment. We are facing two different types of threats right now, procedural and personal, which are discussed later. The initial data was predictable and somewhat disturbing. Observers noted mistakes and omissions directly related to this, but there wasn't enough data collected to be able to act beyond issuing a warning about the risk of distractions. Our other safety programs, however, are still up and running strongly, even with a reduced schedule. I will share some of the data with you that we are seeing now, which should bring together a larger picture of where we are today. First, FSAPs. Pilots are starting to write FSAP reports related to mistakes made due to the distractions early on in this crisis. We have been seeing reports about numerous undesirable aircraft states, or UAS, on a nearly daily basis. We are seeing evidence of situationally induced fatigue, meaning that the stress of the situation is causing a lack of sleep, which results in fatigue, which results in errors and the potential to reach a UAS. An increase in altitude deviations has been noted. The FSAP narratives are trending toward discussions and distractions related to the current situation. Packs mistakenly left off during climb and after takeoff, again, related to crisis distractions. Multiple missed waypoint reports due to distraction. CRM failures are on the rise. Please consider what stress does to CRM skills. Concerns about the safety of our oxygen masks are a hot topic, especially with the FAA's new rule change. Passenger removal. Do we or don't we remove a sick passenger? Who do we call? How do we do it? It is worth noting that we actually removed the wrong passenger on one flight. We have had an uptick in flights landing without clearance. FOQA data. About half of the recent crew contacts had first officers who are on probation. This is a significantly higher percentage than we've seen before. Sometimes we are flying jets in a different way than we are used to. Lighter loads bring new power settings than those we are familiar with. Fuel fairing can lead to forgotten center fuel. Incredibly low REMF values can actually result in low fuel warnings at or near touchdown on some fleets. Landing with takeoff flap settings is also something we've seen. Forgetting to put the gear or flaps down for landing. Make no mistake, the events discussed above were not only with probationary pilots in the cockpit. All of them had captains on board, and the other half of the crew, meaning that nobody is immune to this. We've had procedural errors. Our checklist discipline is currently not disciplined very well. Most of our current errors would be caught with the use of proper, appropriate checklists, but we are missing that too. We've all been taught that errors can be trapped, and the associated risks can therefore be mitigated through SOP and checklist discipline. When we step away from those for any reason, the risk to the safe operation of the flight rises exponentially. We simply cannot allow this to continue. Not one United pilot comes to work thinking, "Today, I'm going to let myself get distracted and make mistakes." We are human beings, so we can't guarantee we're going to be perfect. In times of challenge, we must each acknowledge the increase in threats, and we must do everything in our power to eliminate them where we can. We must further look for, recognize, and correct any error we make immediately. The first and foremost ways to do that are by uncompromising checklist discipline and SOP compliance. We further must reevaluate our ability to safely fly that way. The FAA has published the I'm Safe checklist that we are to use before each and every flight. Most of us memorized this years ago, but here it is again as a refresher. The I is for illness. You should ask, am I sick? Illness is an obvious pilot risk. M is for medication. Am I taking any medicines that might affect my judgment or make me drowsy? S is for stress. Am I under psychological pressure from the job? Do I have money, health, or family problems? Stress causes concentration and performance problems. While the regulations list medical conditions that require grounding, stress is not among them. The pilot should consider the effects of stress on performance. The A is for alcohol. Have I been drinking within 8 hours, or 12 hours for the United limit? As little as 1 ounce of liquor, 1 bottle of beer, or 4 ounces of wine can impair flying skills. Alcohol also renders a pilot more susceptible to disorientation and hypoxia. F is for fatigue. Am I tired and not adequately rested? Fatigue continues to be one of the most insidious hazards to flight safety, as it may not be apparent to pilot until serious errors are made. And finally, E is for emotion. Am I emotionally upset? The stress, fatigue, and emotion portions of this checklist can be answered affirmatively by pretty much every pilot at United. In the current environment, there is almost no way to eliminate the stress or emotional toll we are facing. We have to move on to a skill we have learned in our decision-making experiences and training, and recognizing and coping with stress. If we can each somehow get our stress levels under control, we can reduce the emotional ride we are on, which will help us reduce fatigue. Stress management is the key to the personal fix in our operation. All of us are facing a common stressor, a new illness that is highly contagious and wreaking havoc on our lives and our jobs. Individually, we may be extremely worried about any number of issues. An ill family member, furloughs, or bankruptcy, to name a few. But when it comes time to prepare to fly, we need to be able to put those away and compartmentalize the concerns to the extent that we can safely plan and fly our flight. The bottom line is that we are seeing flights where unusual pilot behaviors related to the current environment are resulting in UASs, some of which are serious. As a group, we must all focus ourselves on the basic elements of checklist discipline and SOP compliance, which will help mitigate risks and trap errors so that we can correct them before they become significant. We must constantly ensure we are mentally and physically prepared to fly our flight. If for any reason we cannot adequately manage our stress levels, again, because we are susceptible to anxiety as anyone else, we cannot fly, period. If you are having trouble keeping this situation in perspective, the SOAR Committee is a team of trained line pilot volunteers to help. The SOAR program is confidential and can be reached 7 days a week, 365 days a year. To get in touch with a SOAR volunteer, call the SOAR hotline at 866-653-SOAR. That's 866-653-SOAR. The FAA currently has the entire industry and each airline on enhanced oversight due to the challenges we face. They know this situation has introduced significant, unusual, additional risk to the industry. We are being told that the worst is yet to come related to the overall impact of COVID-19. What this means is that we must become extra vigilant in ensuring we maintain every bit of our professionalism as we possibly can. Normally, this is a bit of a challenge, but for the foreseeable future, it will be a monumental goal that we must nonetheless achieve. Fight for focus. Keep your flight at the top of the most important thing right now list. Eliminate as much distraction as possible. Put watch for unusual errors into your cross-check, and self-assess constantly. Please help us keep the operation as safe as we can. We have pulled down certain safety program manning due to reduced flying levels. As mentioned earlier, the programs are fully operational and are producing safety data we can use to keep us safe. To do that, we need your input. now more than ever, keep us up to date on what you see via FSAP. Talk to our gatekeepers if they call you. We will continue to produce these how goes it type of messages so all of us are informed of the current operational challenges we face as we navigate these very unusual waters. Lastly, I will leave you with one departing thought. The future isn't tomorrow when it comes to flying. It is the completion of the parking termination checklist and the crew debrief for that particular flight. Looking out further than that while flight planning, or while actually flying, is detrimental to all of us. On behalf of the Central Air Safety Committee Chairman, Captain Bob Sisk, fly safe. We certainly hope that this podcast has been informative. We here at the MEC Comm team are committed to keeping our pilots well informed. Without the resources of our office in Rosemont, we are doing our level best to bring the message of the MEC and its leaders to you. As always, we implore you to get involved and stay informed. From the entire MEC, fly safe and stay healthy. I'm Captain James Belton.